From Sugarloaf Mountain to Greer's Ferry Lake, we like to think that our little slice of paradise is just about right. So come take a walk with us and learn everything there is to know about Heber Springs. This is the Heber Podcast. Welcome to the Heber Podcast. I am your host, Trey Miller, and today we're going to go over about what the Heber Podcast is really going to be about. I decided to make this podcast when I realized we have a great town here, and there's a lot of people out here that are looking to move to a different place or retire, and Heber is a great place for people to relocate. But we also want to talk about the people that are already here, what makes this town so great. So what we're going to do on this journey is talk a little bit about Heber on every single episode, bring some people in, maybe some elected officials, some community leaders, whether it's from the school or from businesses, whatever, and just talk about what makes Heber so great and why people love living here. To kind of kick this off, let's talk a little bit about my story. I am the director of golf and head golf professional out at Red Apple Inn and Country Club out in Eden, Isle. I've lived here for about 19 years. I moved here in February of 2003, so almost exactly 19 years, and I've loved it here. It's new to me because when I moved here, I grew up in Dallas and I'm used to big cities, and I've served in the Marine Corps. I've been all over the world, and then coming to a small town, I'm not going to lie, it was a little nerve-wracking for me to figure out how to live in a small town. But over time, you kind of grow into it, you get used to it, and you love it. And this is a great town not only to live in, but to raise a family in and all of that. And I know that there are a lot of people that share those same thoughts and all of that about Heber Springs. But for me, it really just comes down to I love the laid back side of things. I love the fact that friends are true friends here. They're not just friends at dinner parties and acquaintances for work and all of that. The friends that you have in Heber are friends because you see them all the time. You kind of know what's going on in each other's lives. You know all the kids and their families that the kids go to school with. You learn to live in this community that is there for each other. And that is probably one of the biggest draws for me about Heber Springs. Now, I know that there are a lot of people that are from here, they're born and raised here, that choose to live their lives their whole time here in Heber Springs, but there's a lot of people that move in from other places like myself. I had never heard of Heber Springs before I came up here and interviewed for this job. I actually had to ask the people where Heber Springs was, and I had never heard of it. But one of the things that draws me to that is that you have a lot of implants here, but you have a lot of people that are here for the whole lives, and there's a great mixture of that. And you need a little bit of everything. You need the old school people that are here their whole lives, that love it, that bleed Heber Springs, and you need the new blood that comes in to bring maybe fresh ideas and different thought processes to Heber Springs. And I really do love that about this town. That's one of the things that has been great to myself and my family is even though that we are move-ins, we're not locals, we're not from Heber Springs. We were never treated as outsiders. We were always welcomed with open arms. We moved here. My daughter was in the first grade, and she made quick friends, and everyone was always great to her. And we've made great friends over the years. I've been involved with coaching softball and baseball and helping with different things, doing PA, doing radio for the sports, doing a lot of things in town. And it's wonderful to when you get that community involved together for certain things. It is really fun, and that's one of the things that I love about Heber is it is a very inclusive community. Everyone is there to be with each other, to help. Are there cliques? Sure. Let's not face the elephant in the room. There are cliques out there, but there's cliques everywhere. But the great thing about Heber is being a small town, even though there are certain cliques that run in town, everyone kind of knows everyone, and everyone is at least aware of problems that happen in the community. If someone's sick or someone's hurt or whatever the situation, it's fascinating to watch how quickly this community can come together and help out anyone and everyone that is in need. So let's kind of go back and talk about our story about moving here. And we moved here from Hot Springs. I was a head pro at a course down in Hot Springs before here for about a year. Prior to that, I lived in San Antonio, Texas for a while. I was in the Marine Corps for a while, but I grew up in a town called Plano, Texas, which if you guys know about Plano or Dallas, it's a massive metropolitan. The biggest problem with that, it's a great place. It's still my favorite place on earth. I love Dallas. But the bad thing about that is there's no way to know everyone. I graduated in a class of over 1,500 kids. My graduating class was 1,500 kids. I had a lot of friends, but I probably only knew like a tenth of my entire class, to be honest with you. What I like about it here is my daughter graduated, I don't know, 150 people, probably somewhere around there, 125, 150 people. And she might not have been friends with everybody, but she knew pretty much everybody in her class. And that is a cool thing I wish I had growing up. And I probably think that a lot of people out there that grew up in bigger towns probably in some way, shape, or form wishes that they kind of knew everyone, at least were accustomed to knowing who they were or acquaintances with everyone they graduated with, because that makes graduating a little bit more special. For me, it was a 6-hour process that had to sit there and listen to all these names being read. And I'm thinking, man, who is that? And I realized I've been to school. I was in kindergarten with that person and never knew them. That's the bad side of a big town, but a great side of a small town, that everyone seems to kind of know each other. Whether or not they're friends or not, they at least know who each other are. And if someone's in need, they can definitely help out. So what's the Heber podcast going to be about? It's going to be just about that. It's about this community, this wonderful community that we have. We're going to bring people in like maybe the sheriff or the police chief or the mayor, some one of these people that are in the leadership positions of our town, but more importantly, bring in people, teachers, superintendents, principals, business owners, people that are the community leaders out here to talk about what they love about here and why they came to Heber. Mostly people maybe chose to move to Heber for these jobs and want to know why they chose to move to Heber for these jobs. Was it just a job or was it the community itself? We're going to talk a little bit about everything that has to do with Heber Springs. We'll keep you up to date on community schedules and calendars. We're going to do this about once a month to start out with, maybe go into twice a month if it gets going, but at least once a month, we'll give a calendar of everything that's going to be going on in the next month. We'll try to keep you up to date on all the sports teams and how they're doing. Maybe set some, hey, there's some games coming up at home that we want to get to or whatever. We're going to talk a little bit about events that are happening within the community. This is what makes Heber Springs so great, are the events, the small little events that get the whole community together and have a good time, and the fellowship and all of that makes Heber Springs what it is. Now, most of you guys that know me know that I'm a bit of a smart aleck, so we're going to have a little bit of fun with this podcast. We are going to joke around, have fun. It's not going to be all serious all the time. We're going to have fun. We can be serious, but we can still have a laugh and all that. So it will be a fun, relaxing, laid-back style of a podcast that we're going to bring people in and have great little talks and all that. I want to call them interviews because interviews are scripted and all that. We're just going to talk and we're going to have fun and discuss everything that is about our guests and the town and why they're here, what they're doing in the community and all that stuff. It's going to be a fun podcast. So we really hope you guys are going to enjoy this. If you know someone that you think should be on the podcast, or you want to be on yourself, or just give me ideas, whatever, you can always email us at TheHeberPodcast@gmail.com. Once again, TheHeberPodcast@gmail.com. That's our email. We'll be more than happy to try to get as many guests we can as on this podcast. More importantly, if you just have questions or you have comments or you have your own story, we'll probably read out someone if they email us a story of why they're here and why they love Heber Springs. We're going to do that where we'll read out at least one story every podcast every month and talk about, hey, this person and moved to Heber for this reason, and here's why they love it. Or if you hate it, this will be real. There are people that don't like Heber Springs, and if they do, I don't know why they're still here. No offense, but if you don't like where you live, then why are you still living here? I think that most of the people that live here love this town for a lot of different reasons. Everyone has their own reasons to love this town. For us, it is the small town feel. It is the laid back side of things. It is the lake. It is the outdoor activities. It's the closeness of this community that brings warmth to my and my family's heart. So that's the reason why we love it here. It's a great place to raise a family. The small town values that you get are wonderful here in Heber Springs, and we can't trade those for the world. So guys, this is going to be a short one. We're going to try to last about 30 minutes or so on each podcast, maybe a little bit longer if the conversation's good. But this one's just going to be the first episode to introduce myself to people that don't know and to explain what the Heber Podcast is. There's people asking all the time, what is this going to be about? Well, it's going to be about Heber Springs, obviously, but we're going to dig into the people that make up this great community, the people that make this community run and thrive, and the people that give this place the heart and soul that it has. So guys, Thank you so much for listening to this podcast. We will look forward to starting up in the next month with our first guest and having a really nice sit down with guests throughout the next couple years. Hopefully we enjoy doing this. We hope this is going to last forever. If you have any questions, like I said, or want to hear about someone, or you have a guest idea, email us at TheHeberPodcast@gmail.com. Until next time, get out there and make a splash yourself. Thank you so much for joining us on this podcast. Make sure you check out our website, HeberPodcast.com. There you can find links to our Facebook page, YouTube channel, and every platform that the podcast is on. Until next time, enjoy the sweet life.